kirtan event with Radhika.
Yeah, and then went out after.
Yeah.
Is that well? Is that good?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, again, everybody together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Again, one more time, everybody, all of us together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. Thank you so much, Dayal Gauranga. Thank you so much everyone for being here. This is our Bhagavat Sravana, and today we have Dayal Gauranga speaking. Okay, he'll be back in just 1 minute. Yeah, he is our executive director here at Bhakti Center. So he really leads this whole community and brings us together as a team. And he has been serving here at Bhakti Center. He was actually a brahmachari here for many years, a monk for many years here at Bhakti Center. And then he got married to our dear Rasika, who is here with us today. And then he's done so many services for Bhakti Center over the years, everything from cooking breakfast with ecstatic cinnamon rolls to cooking feasts for festivals to being our program production managers, now being our executive director. So we're so grateful to have him here with us today, speaking for us. And the way the flow will go is we will have class until 12:30, and then we will have arti from 12:30 to 1 with more kirtan. And then I will give you all some announcements about other programs that we have here at Bhakti Center. And then we will have a beautiful lunch served for you all in the back. So please stay for the whole time and have a wonderful time. And thank you so much again. Yes. You want that?
Can we roll in?
Why not? It's a beautiful prayer that you can look it up real quick. It's a beautiful verse that I like to recite often before speaking. This last line is sometimes recited differently, but this verse, Mukham Karoti Vachalam, Pangam Langaite Giri, Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande, Paramananda Madhavam. The Supreme Personality of God has the form of Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. So do you. Transcendental bliss, knowledge, and eternity. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him, who turns the dumb or the unintelligent or those who into eloquent speakers, and enables the lame to cross mountains. Such is the mercy of the Lord. Mukham Karoti Vachalam. Mukham is from the mouth, Karoti Vachalam, that they can speak. Those who are lame can cross mountains. And so, this idea of empowerment is very, very much salient to those in the path of Bhakti Yoga. And Krishna speaks as much in Bhagavad Gita when he mentions to Arjuna in the 15th chapter of the Gita. One of the most oft verses quoted by Srila Prabhupada, where he mentions, Sarvasya Chaham Pradisani Vishto Matasmritir Gyanam Pohanam Cha. That I am the source of knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. And so the hallmark of a Bhakti Yogi, of any yogi, is they live in this continuous presence of Krishna in their life. And our journey really becomes like a treasure hunt to search for the ways in which we can find Krishna in our life. And in many ways, the difference between spiritual and material consciousness is literally the degree to which we're able to remember Krishna's presence in our life. And Krishna gives us so many opportunities throughout Shastra. And in the Gita itself, Krishna talks about being the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, of mountains he is Meru, etc. All these beautiful descriptions in the 7th and 9th and 10th chapters of the Gita. It's really Arjuna's way of saying, you know what, I get it, Krishna. I see you here now in front of me, but what are the ways in which I and all of us can remember you when we look out into the world? I'm reminded of Krishna. Prabhupada called this Krishna consciousness. But it's really, really, really hard to see. It's easy to see God's hand in our life when things are going well. Anybody have that experience? Thank you, Krishna, for what you just did. I can't, wow, thank you. Wow, he loves me back. She loves me back. You know, I got the job. You know, I'm cured. I didn't get sick. You know, whatever it may have been. Thank you, Krishna. God is amazing. God is doing amazing things in the world. And I'm the proof of it. But it's really, really hard when things don't go our way. Or when God seems to not be answering our prayers. When they don't love me back. When I don't get that job. Or I lost my job. Or that disease wasn't cured. Or when it seems as if somebody else is hurting me in a particular way. And it's really hard to see that hand. And the Shastras that we read, interestingly enough, the Bhagavatam itself, we hear the story of who here, so this is Bhagavat Sravana, we're here to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. Who would like to just give a short description? What is the Bhagavatam? Everyone's like, I have a chance to impress everybody or make a fool of myself.
Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream of all Vedic literature. So Vyasadeva, who is the literary incarnation of Krishna, he was compiling all of the Vedic literature, but he didn't feel satisfied. And his spiritual master Narada Muni told him it was because he hadn't specifically and sufficiently glorified the Supreme Lord and the path of pure devotional service to the Lord, and that he should do that. And that is what Srimad Bhagavatam is.
It's the cream of all Vedic literature. Sounds yummy. Okay. Anybody else want to share? That sounds like a great example for somebody who already has some inkling of what Bhagavatam might be. Anybody else? Anybody does not even know where you are. Like, what is a Bhagavat Sravana? I don't know. I just heard my kids are in Sunday school downstairs, so I'm here for that. Anybody else want to? Yeah, Jenna.
Yeah, it's a conversation. It's many conversations, but it's a conversation between the King Parikshit and
Sukadev
Sukadev's Goswami. I'm going to mix up Sutta and Shuka in this one. So it's a conversation. The king is about to die in 7 days, and he's like, what do I do? I have 7 days left.
Yes.
How do I get this done properly? And
How do we, let's do this.
yeah, so we have 7 days non-stop downloading as much information as possible about how to live in devotional service and how to die in devotional service. And then that conversation is then shared with more sages and retold then for all of us and for our benefit in Kali Yuga.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. It's a very, very, very literal way. It's a conversation between Parikshit Maharaj and Sukadeva Goswami and all of the sub-conversations that take place, right? Who would like to take a stab at this, finishing this sentence? The Bhagavatam is the story of...
Krishna.
Sorry?
Krishna.
Krishna. Beautiful. What's your name again?
Raj.
Raj. Thank you so much, Raj. Very beautiful singing earlier. You didn't want to sing, but I'm glad you did. Raj is the story of Krishna. Beautiful. Anything else they want to add to that?
Spirit soul returning to home, to God.
It's the story of the spirit soul returning to God. Beautiful. Yes, yourself?
The Srimad is beautiful, and Bhagavatam is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who possesses all opulences.
Yes, the personality of God who possesses all opulences. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Is it just Krishna in the Bhagavatam?
And his devotees.
And his devotees. Beautiful. It's the story of Krishna and his devotees. It's the story of Krishna and his devotees. And very often when we look at devotees, we think of what type of devotees?
Pure devotees.
Pure devotees. Right? What do we think of when we think of pure devotees? The gopis. He's going right for the jugular. The gopis in Vrindavan, like the pure. We had was it last week or the week before? Garuda Prabhu was here, and they spoke so beautifully about the Rasa Leela and the exchange of Krishna and the gopis. And in the morning Bhagavatam classes, we were just reading the story of the wives of the Brahmanas and getting that intimate look into the residents of Vrindavan and about what it means to be in that highest pinnacle of devotional service. Rupa Goswami describes in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu the definition of sadhana bhakti. He has these two different types of sadhana bhakti. There's Vaidhi bhakti, where you follow the rules and regulations of scriptures because this is what you're supposed to do. It's almost like a discipline. In a lot of ways, love begins as a discipline. It starts out as this emotion, then at a certain point, it's no longer just flowers and butterflies, and it becomes work, where there's a discipline of a commitment that I want to love somebody, and it no longer becomes about me. Because initially, love is actually, the way we see it, falling in love, it's very much about me. The way I feel. I feel great about you. Everything is the world is sunny around you. And it's all about the way you make me feel, right? But when does love no longer become about the way you make me feel and the way I want to make you feel? Right? And the sacrifice that I'm willing to put into my life for another. Parents understand this better than anybody. You know, we have Sahar as a mother there, and her husband, her child is here, and I'm sure that maybe there's other parents in the room. I always say my wife and I don't have kids, but we have a dog. People ask if we adopted our dog. We say no, he's our biological dog. But the understanding of the sacrifice that goes into raising a child, that there's no return in the beginning investment of that relationship. It's just late nights, waking up in the middle of the morning, all the things that go into that. And so at a certain point, love becomes a discipline. It becomes a commitment. It also becomes something that I commit myself to. And so when we want to love Krishna, we commit to the practice of sadhana bhakti. He talks about Vaidhi bhakti, which is where I'm just understanding, I'm following the processes because I'm committing myself to the path and I want to invoke feelings of love for Krishna. And then there's Raganuga bhakti, which is a more spontaneous feeling of love, when actually I just feel like, start to feel spontaneous love of Krishna. And Raganuga literally means following in the footsteps of the Ragatmaka Bhaktas of Vrindavan. And when you look at the devotees of Vrindavan, they're just loving Krishna because that spontaneous love is there. So that highest pinnacle of love, Rag means deep attachment, feeling, emotion. Bhakti is infused with deep emotion for Krishna. How many of us can say that my service is motivated by just a pure desire to want to serve and please Krishna? Right? I just want to serve Krishna. But then, why is it so hard? It's hard because I want something other than just Krishna's happiness. It's hard because I want some comfort, please. It's hard because I want a little recognition. It's hard because I'm looking for all the things I think my service will give me. Krishna mentions as much in the Bhagavad Gita. Where does Krishna mention the Bhagavad Gita? In the 7th chapter, he talks about 4 different types of people that come to him. Out of relief, I want something in my life to go away. Is there anything in anybody's life that they wish would go away? A debt? A person, an ex? You know? Disease. Thank you. Thank you for the front row. Relief. Or somebody who's desiring wealth, something they want in their life, right? Something they want to come, something I want to come. He says there's people who want something to be removed from their life, something that they want something added to their life. People who are looking for answers, the inquisitive, the curious, people who are looking, various things that we're looking for. And he says, all of it's beautiful. Don't feel bad, don't feel guilty. It's better you come to me, because in that process you start to develop that relationship, at least with Krishna, rather than feeling a sense of independence. And so, a big part of our spiritual life is being brave enough and courageous enough and willing enough to admit our own intentions and motivations, at least to ourselves. And to be able to have the courage to do that without a feeling of guilt and shame, and just recognizing, like, I've got all this mixed bag, and that's why I'm here. That's not why I should leave, that's why I should stay. Because I'm working through all of that, and I want to get to the place where my motivation is just pure love for Krishna, because then everything becomes easy. Everything becomes easy when I'm just worried about serving and pleasing Krishna and Krishna's devotees. And my ego doesn't need to get in the way, and all of my ulterior motives doesn't need to get in the way. Rupa Goswami mentions as much also when he talks about the definition of pure bhakti. The first line he uses, Anyabi Lasha Dashima, he said it's devoid of any ulterior motivation. So all those material motivations is what actually makes it really difficult. So we talk about pure devotees. He's saying the gopis in Vrindavan, like, they're there. Wow, beautiful, good for them. What about other people? What else do we think about when we hear pure devotees?
Unmotivated, uninterrupted, unalloyed.
Uninterrupted, unmotivated, unalloyed. So we hear Srimad Bhagavatam is the story of Krishna, who's the supreme absolute truth, the supreme lover, the supreme charmer, the supreme Janmadhyasayata. Krishna says, Vyasadeva mentions at the beginning, Janmadhyasayata, that from which everything emanates, the supreme source of everything. The first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, you can give a whole seminar on, a year-long seminar about the nature of that absolute truth. It's about that absolute truth and his pure devotees. His pure devotees, like the gopis in Vrindavan, are those who are unmotivated, unalloyed, and unmotivated. Right? And it says as much in the Srimad Bhagavatam when the very, very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam is mentioned. Very, very often quoted verse. Savai pungsam paradharmo yato bhaktirarhosaje ahaitukya pratyata yatma suprasidati. The supreme occupation, dharma, for all humanity is that by which people can attain to loving devotional service unto that transcendent Lord. Such a devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. So these stories of pure devotees in Krishna. But the reality is that the Bhagavatam is not the story of pure devotees. It's the story of devotees who are working through all the muck in their life. Working towards places of purity. And by the grace of Krishna, arriving at that place of purity, which is the destination for all of us. But the Bhagavatam is actually a story of mistakes and mishaps. And every single step along the way. Beginning with Parikshit Maharaj himself, right? Parikshit Maharaj is revered as such a beautiful, pure devotee. But how does the Bhagavatam begin? He loses his cool. He gets offended. He feels insulted because he walks into a hermitage and the sage of that hermitage is steeped in meditation and doesn't get up to recognize and honor this king of Parikshit Maharaj. His ego gets in the way. And therefore he's cursed by the son, and it's the son of that sage who loses his cool and curses Parikshit Maharaj to die in 7 days. At every step along the way, Dhruva Maharaj does not begin as this pure devotee. He's got all kinds of material desires he's trying to work out. And so we can go, for example, the point is not to make all these examples we'll find, but the point is that you find devotees who are working through all of their impurities on the path towards perfection. And so, but what makes them exalted souls is the way in which they respond to the reversals and the mistakes and mishaps that happen in their life. It's the way in which they respond to what happens to them that makes them amazing. Each and every one of us have a choice, have a juncture. Every day we have this juncture. In the microcosms of our life and in the macrocosms of our life. Am I going to choose to see Krishna and Krishna's hand and how he's softening my heart and bringing me closer towards loving service to him? Or am I going to choose to turn away? And the topic, when Champak was asking me what I wanted to speak about, I'm always thinking about what am I going through? And so I think the topic was something along the lines of how to see Krishna's hand in our life, rather than place blame on other people, on other circumstances, or on God himself. And it's very, 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 very easy. It's very, 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 very easy to choose the latter. And so there's a couple of verses and a couple of places I wanted to look at that describe this. I'm going to start before we get to the Bhagavatam. I just want to open up for a few verses from the Gita. I'll start there, and then I want to move to Krishna Bhagavatam. So the first verse I want to look at is from the Gita. There's 2 verses in the 5th chapter, verses 16 and 17. So Krishna has this first verse. Does someone want to read this verse out loud?
Yanena tu tad agyanam yesham nashitam atmana tesham aditya vajyanam prakashayati tatparam. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime.
Beautiful. And we'll read just 1 or 2 lines of this purport. Those who have forgotten Krishna must certainly be bewildered. Anybody ever feel bewildered in life? A little bewildered? But those who are in Krishna consciousness are not bewildered at all. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Jnana Plavena Jnanagni Sarva Karmini and Nahi Jnanena Sadrisham. Knowledge is always highly esteemed. And what is that knowledge? Perfect knowledge is achieved when one surrenders unto Krishna. As it is said in the 7th chapter, 19th verse, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavam Mam Prapadyante. Bahunam Janmanam. Bahu means many or great, or Bahunam Janma, many births. Ante, after. After many births. And this isn't our first rodeo. We've sojourned throughout life, and also throughout our journey in the material world. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Jnanavam, jnana, one comes to knowledge, mam prapadyante, after they surrender unto me. One comes to the point of knowledge and surrenders unto me. After passing through many, many births, bahunam janmanam mante, when one perfect in knowledge surrenders unto Krishna, jnanavam mam prapadyante, or when one attains Krishna consciousness, then everything is revealed to them, as everything is revealed by the sun in the daytime. The living entity is bewildered in so many ways. And so Krishna goes on to have this, for instance, when they unceremoniously think themselves God, they actually fall into the last snare of nescience. And so when we refuse to see or turn a blind eye to Krishna's hand in our life, then there's bewilderment. And so the next verse, I'm going to go on. Somebody want to read this beautiful verse? You can read the Sanskrit or the English if you're brave, or you can just read the English if you're not feeling up for it. There we go. Jumping, you're my go-to girl.
When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation.
Beautiful, thank you. When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge and shelter are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of, let's all say it together, what's that word?
Misgivings.
Misgivings. Through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation. So our misgivings with each other, other people, and our misgivings with Krishna, and our misgivings with ourselves. And so, this is the hallmark quality of devotees, that when we understand the way in which Krishna is showing up in our life, we can start to blame the minutiae, stop blaming the minutiae of circumstances, and start seeing the way in which, yes, Krishna may not necessarily be serving my ego narrative of the way I think life is meant to go. But the prayers of the devotees in Srimad Bhagavatam, at the end of the day, when they work through whatever they're working through, and they get to the end of it, when Nrsingadev asked Prahlad Maharaj to ask for a benediction, when Dhruva Maharaj finally gets the darshan of Lord Vishnu and is asked to receive a benediction, when devotees finally make it to the other side, when Parikshit Maharaj was cursed, what did Parikshit Maharaj do when he found out he was cursed? What could he have done?
He actually could have contracted the curse.
Could have, I'm the king, man. I run this joint. Here's my business card. It says king.
Of the whole world.
Of the whole world. And he was also a great devotee and a great lineage. He was the grandson of Arjuna, of the Pandavas, the direct associates of Krishna. Yet you're quoting the Bhagavad Gita. He spoke that to my grandfather. He could have counteracted. He could have said the punishment doesn't fit the crime. Anybody ever feel that way? The punishment doesn't fit the crime for the way that we are. We always want forgiveness and understanding when it comes to ourselves, and justice for other people. Right? Well, it's just what they deserve. Right? But then when it comes to us, it's like, well, you didn't understand my intention. Right? I was listening to a beautiful class by His Grace Radhika Remarkable just a few weeks ago. He was giving a class on the nature of forgiveness. He was talking about different stories about action and intention, that when a devotee's action is wrong in some way, but they have a pure intention, what does Krishna do? What does he accept?
The intention.
The intention. Is there an example of that? Anybody know? Where the action somehow is just off, but Krishna accepts the intention.
Shobri.
What was that in the back? What did you say? Was that you, Christina?
I think somebody.
Who said Shobri?
Shobri.
Shabri, you said Shabri, right?
Yeah.
What's the story? Rasika or Balkrishna, you both said.
No, I said Bhishma.
You said Bhishma. Shabri, what's the story of Shabri? Story of Shabri is that in Ram Leela, Ram's coming to meet Shabri, and there's a particular type of berry. What's the name of the berry? I don't know the name of the berry. Particular type of berry that the only way that it's impossible, the distinction between a ripe one and an unripe one is almost negligible externally. The only way is you have to taste it. But the difference, it's almost like, I don't know if it's like, would anybody have like a persimmon? The difference between like a ripe and like an unripe or like a not ripe. It's almost like eating like wax paper. When you eat it's like totally dries out your mouth and it's like, ugh. And so like this berry was something similar. Like if it's unripe, it's almost detestable. But if it's ripe, it's like the sweetest thing ever. So the only way you had to taste a little bit, she would taste it. She would half eaten it. And it was like, this one's no good. So you throw it away. Well, this was a great one. And she shoved it in Ram's mouth. And Lakshmana is just like, my dear mother, like sister, like you can't offer Ram like this. And then Ram said, like, no, like these berries are so sweet. He accepted the intention of her offering. There's a beautiful prayer that we recite for pujaris at the end of doing arti, where you say, Krishna, I undoubtedly made so many mistakes in my service to you. Please forgive all of that and accept my intention. There's even a prayer that's posted as a driver. So who's serving Krishna perfectly? Bhishma, what was the example of Bhishma you said about Krishna?
Even though he was on the wrong side of the battle, but still his connection to Krishna was always there. That's why Krishna was there when he left the world.
Krishna personally came to him at the time of his death. Bhishma was some verses I wanted to read from the story of Bhishma, because Bhishma's beautiful prayers about this regard. Thanks, so we'll come back to that. One or two other examples where Krishna, yes, there, and then Champaka.
Sudama Brahmana,
Sudama and Brahma, yeah, what's the story of Sudama?
he went to see his old friend Krishna in Dwarka, but he was so poor that his family could only afford a small bag of broken chipped rice. And when he arrived in Dwarka, he was so embarrassed and shamed, but Krishna, knowing the heart of all living beings, knew that he'd brought something and teased him and said, "What have you brought for me?"
What have you brought for me? And he was reluctant to give it, but he took it. It was just some dried chipped rice. And he was so satisfied with that offering that on the way home, Sudama Brahman saw his entire home transformed into this opulent palace. And Krishna had reciprocated with him that beautiful, simplest of offerings. He accepts the intention. He accepts the intention. Yeah, Champaka, you were going to say one other one?
Yeah, Duryodhana cooked a huge feast. Well, he didn't himself, but he had people cook a huge feast for.
Ordered it on DoorDash.
Yeah, for Krishna. But he had an ulterior motive to get something from Krishna. And so Krishna didn't go to his feast, but he went to Viduра's home. And Viduра's wife was there. And she was so nervous to see Krishna, but had such pure love that she actually had a banana. But she, in her excitement, threw out the banana and gave Krishna the banana peel. But she offered it to him with so much love that he ate it.
Krishna refused the opulent feast ordered in by Duryodhana and accepted banana peels from Vidura and his wife because the intention was to serve. So even when our actions are off, Krishna accepts the intention. And how quick are we to judge other people by the action and ignore the intention? So does Krishna always accept the intention? What about when the action is right, but the intention is wrong?
No.
What does Krishna do? Is there an example of what Krishna does when the intention is right, but the action is wrong? Where the action is right and the intention is wrong?
That Duryodhana example works. He didn't go to eat the feast.
What about the story of Putana? She came to kill Krishna.
Oh wow.
She came to kill Krishna. And what is that verse? The famous verse? Aho Bakiyam. Right? I don't have that verse memorized. This is the verse that Pundarik Vidyanidhi and Chaitanya Charitamrita heard. When he heard this verse, he became overwhelmed by just bewilderment, of love for Sri Krishna. Aho bhakiyam sanakala kutam.
Can you zoom in?
Yeah. Aho bhakiyam sanakala kutam jigam shayapayat apyasadvi vivekatim tat yuchitam tatonyam kamba dayulam sharanam vrajema. Dayal. That's my name. Means mercy. Dayal Gauranga Das. It's my namesake, the merciful Gauranga. Dayalum, merciful. Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, Putana, although she was unfaithful and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. So Putana came with the intention to kill, but what? He accepted this because the service, he just accepted the service, even though the intention was. So sometimes Krishna will even disregard the intention and accept the action. And then what does Krishna do when the action is wrong and the intention is wrong? He waits. He mercifully waits until we're ready to turn to him. And so we find that Krishna accompanies the living entity again and again and again, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, never giving up on anybody. And so Krishna is there for us, patiently waiting for us to come to the place where we're actually ready to surrender. And therefore, Prabhupada mentioned in this verse, was it this one? Bahunam janmanam mante jnanavamam prapadyante. 7:19 of the Bhagavad Gita. After many, many births, one comes to the place. Bahunam janmanam mante jnanavamam prapadyante. It's from the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. After many births, one comes to the realization of, you know what? Let me turn towards Krishna. So, the devotee is constantly looking for ways towards bringing themselves towards Krishna. The devotees, what is the prayer? So the Bhagavatam is filled with devotees who sometimes have the right action but wrong intention. Sometimes have the wrong action but the right intention. But when they come to that place of receiving Krishna's mercy, when Dhruva Maharaj comes to the place of asking a benediction from the Lord, or when Parikshit Maharaj comes to the place of accepting his fate, what is the prayer that, what is the benediction that devotees ask for?
Always remember you.
Always remember you. Please just give me your devotional service. Please give me nothing else other than your devotional service. So at the end of the day, the devotees, what I'm looking for is a purification of my desire. I'm looking for a purification of my desires. That's what our Krishna consciousness is doing to us. It's simple, and whenever there's a struggle, whenever I'm looking to blame somebody, whenever I'm looking to my anger is lashing out, is generally because you're not participating in the story of life that I've written for myself, and I'm trying to get you to play a supporting role. Rather than thinking that person is actually playing a supporting role in Krishna's plan for my life. In Krishna's plan for my life. And there are two really beautiful examples of this in the first canto. There are multiple examples of this in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the first is, we'll start off with Bhishma Dev. We'll start off by looking at the example of Bhishma Dev. And then we'll look at the end in the story of Parikshit Maharaj when he is receiving the age of the Kali coming into the world. So in the story of Bhishma Dev, we find in the, and then this is still in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavatam, first canto, 9th chapter, the passing away of Bhishma Dev in the presence of Lord Krishna. Passing away of Bhishma Dev in the presence of Lord Krishna. So it's a beautiful section of verses here. So the battle has been fought. Bhishma Dev is at the end of his life. He's waiting for Krishna to come and be with him. And he is giving instructions to his grandson, Yudhishthira Maharaj, his grandson Yudhishthira Maharaj. Bhishma Dev, who was the best amongst the 8 Vasus, received and welcomed all the great and powerful rishis who were assembled there, for he knew perfectly all the religious principles according to time and place. Lord Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, yet he manifests his transcendental form by his internal potency. This very Lord was sitting before Bhishma Dev, and since Bhishma Dev knew of his glories, he worshipped him duly. The sons of Maharaj Pandu were sitting silently nearby, overtaken with affection for their dying grandfather. Seeing this, Bhishma congratulated them with feeling. There were tears of ecstasy in his eyes, for he was overwhelmed by love and affection. It's such an interesting part of the Mahabharata. Before the battle begins, so right after the Bhagavad Gita is spoken, the battle is about to begin. Right before the armies clash. Does anybody know what Yudhishthira does? Before they lunge into battle, does anybody know what Yudhishthira does? Anybody think they might know, but they're afraid to guess? Anybody want to take a guess? What is Arjuna's, what is Arjuna so concerned about? Why does he break down with such emotion in the beginning of the battle?
Because he sees his teachers and his friends and his family on the other side, and he doesn't want to kill them.
He sees his friends and his teachers and his family on the other side. Bhishma, their grandfather. Drona, who's their guru. Kripacharya. So Yudhishthira takes off his armor. And they're right about to clash. Takes off his armor and he walks over to Bhishma and Drona and Kripacharya and he bows down before them and he asks for their blessings to engage in this battle. And he says, I understand that the way things are, you have to be on your side, and I encourage you to fight on your side. And Bhishma and Drona are like, please ask for a blessing from me. And Yudhishthira is like, tell me how I can kill you. I can't do it without your blessings. You know? And there's this like exchange of affection of like, life has put us in such an impossible situation. But I refuse to feel enmity towards you. Even though we're at a place of argumentation to not to kill each other. And so that affection is so strong still, even though life has pitted them against each other. They refuse to see it as, you're my enemy. Like Krishna's orchestrated this whole thing somehow, we're each playing our roles. So at the end of it, even though the Pandavas were the cause of death for Bhishma, he's sitting there affectionately welcoming them at his deathbed. There were tears of ecstasy in his eyes, for he was overwhelmed by love and affection. Bhishma Dev said, oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustices you good souls suffer for being the sons of religious personified. Remember, he's sitting on the bed of arrows. He's not saying, what a bad break I'm getting. Even though he's the one that's passing away. He's saying, what terrible sufferings you have suffered, being the sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under those tribulations, yet you were protected by the Brahmins, God, and religion. Queen Kunti made a very similar prayer one chapter earlier, but the ways in which Krishna protected them, right? All the ways in which Duryodhana, Shashana, and Karna, and who was the brother of Gandhari? It wasn't Shakuni. Was it Shakuni? Shakuni. It was Shakuni. I was thinking Shikandi was the one on the Pandava side. A lot of similar names. Shakuni, the brother of Gandhari, was plotting against. Was actually the one that cast the dice in the dice game. Was playing the dice and beat Yudhishthira. All the ways in which they plotted against them and the injustices. See, you did not deserve that. You did not deserve that. As far as my daughter-in-law Kunti is concerned, my daughter-in-law, your mother, Upon the great general Pandu's death, she became a widow with many children, and therefore she suffered greatly. And when you were grown up, she suffered a great deal also because of your actions. When the Pandavas went to the forest in exile for 13 years, they did not bring Kunti with her because she was too elderly and they felt it inappropriate. The Pandavas went with Draupadi, but Kunti stayed in the palace. So for 13 years, she was without word of her son. There was no Twitter, no updates. They weren't posting like, day 367 in the forest, you know? There's none of that. It was just silence, not even knowing if they were dead or alive. In my opinion, this is all because of Duryodhana. No, that's not what it says. Are you reading a different version? This is all due to inevitable time, under whose control everyone in every planet is carried, just as the clouds are carried by the wind. There's a lot of beautiful purports here, but because I took a long-winded introduction, I'll just read some of these verses because there's one other section of Bhagavatam I want to get to too. Maybe we'll dive into some of these purports. He continues, oh, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhisthira, the son of the demigod controlling religion, Bhima, the great fighter with the club, the great bowman Arjuna with his mighty weapon Gandiva, and above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. O King, no one can know the plan of the Lord Shri Krishna, even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively. They are bewildered. O best among the descendants of Bharata, Yudhisthira, I maintain, therefore, that this is all within the plan of the Lord. Accepting the inconceivable plan of the Lord, you must follow it. You are now the appointed administrative head, and my Lord, you should now take care of those subjects who are now rendered helpless. There's a lot of beautiful purports that Srila Prabhupada gives in these verses. But we'll skip over that. And I want to go to one other space in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's very similar. It's at the very, very end. The punishment and war of Kali. This is chapter 17 of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And the story, for those who are familiar, or for those who are, it's a refresher. Parikshit Maharaj is traveling throughout his kingdom. And he finds Bhumi Devi in the form of a cow. And he finds Dharma in the form of a bull. And they're being beaten by Kali personified. Not the goddess Kali, but Kali personified, the age of Kali personified, in the form of a crooked politician. Somebody dressing in the garb of a leader, but yet acting opposite-wise. And in many ways, it's described as a characteristic of Kali Yuga, is twisted leadership. And so, Maharaj Parikshit comes upon this this bull who's being beaten by this Kali personified. And he says, "Oh, you, who are you? You appear to be strong." Oh, he's talking to Kali. And he asks the bull, Dharma, "Oh, who are you? Are you a bull as white as a lotus, or are you a demigod? You have lost 3 of your legs and are moving on only 1. Are you some demigod causing us grief in the form of a bull?" And so Dharma said, the 4 legs of Dharma, 3 of them have been cut off. Honesty, austerity, charity. The 4 legs of Dharma, austerity, charity. Honesty is the only one that's left, the one that had been purity. Purity, austerity, and mercy. Thank you, Krishnaji. 4 legs of Dharma: austerity, purity, mercy, and honesty. So honesty is the last leg of Dharma, which even today you find is very, very weak and trembling. So the 3 legs of Dharma have been removed. Now for the first time in a kingdom, well protected by the arms of the king of the Kuru dynasty, I see you grieving with tears in your eyes. Up till now, no one on earth has ever shed tears because of royal negligence. O son of Surabi, you need lament no longer. There is no need to fear this low-class Shudra. O mother cow, as long as I'm living as the ruler and subduer of all envious people, there is no cause for you to cry. Everything will be good for you. O chaste one, the king's good name, duration of life, and good rebirth vanish when all kinds of living beings are terrified by miscreants in their kingdom. It is certainly the prime duty of the king to subdue first the sufferings of those who suffer. Therefore, I must kill this most wretched man because he is violent against all other living beings. He goes on to describe about the process of justice and bringing justice to those who have wronged you. O bull, you are fenceless and thoroughly honest, therefore I wish all good to you. Please tell me of the perpetrator of these mutilations, which blacken the reputation of the sons of Prithu. Whoever causes a fenceless living being to suffer must fear me anywhere and everywhere in the world. By curbing dishonest miscreants, one automatically benefits the defenseless. An upstart living being who commits offenses by torturing those who are offenseless shall be directly uprooted by me, even though they be a denizen of heaven with armor and decorations. The supreme duty of the ruling king is to give all protection to law-abiding persons and to chastise those who stray from the ordinances of the scriptures in ordinary times when there is no emergency. So he's asking who's doing this to you, which is an odd question because it's the perpetrator's right there, you know? It's like you ever walk in, like, you're in beautiful chanting of mantras or a little school of bhakti is taking place down there with kids. Somebody's walking a kid and they got chocolate all over their face, and you're like, who ate all this chocolate? I don't know, you know? You know, or you walk in and it's like they got crayon marks all over their bodies, like, who wrote on the walls? It's like, I don't know. And you can't blame him. It comes from Krishna, right? You see Krishna over there stealing butter. It's like Mother Yashoda comes in, the butter's all over the place, he's smeared all over his face. He's like, who stole that butter and gave it to the monkeys? It's like, I don't know. It's Balaram, you know? Sometimes you're caught red-handed. It's like, who did this? So Prithu Maharaj is asking, like, who did this to you? And he's like, he's right there. But Dharma personified in the form of a bull, says, the person on the bridge said, these words just spoken by you forbid a person of the Pandava dynasty. Captivated by the devotional qualities of the Pandavas, even Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, performed duties as a messenger. O greatest among human beings, it is very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused our sufferings, because we are bewildered by the different opinions of theoretical philosophers. Some of the philosophers who deny all sorts of duality declare that one's own self is responsible for their personal happiness and distress. Others say that superhuman powers are responsible, yet while others say that activity is responsible, and the gross materialists maintain that nature is the ultimate cause. Some people say it's their own fault, some people say it's karma, some people say it's destiny. There are also some thinkers who believe that no one can ascertain the cause of distress by argumentation, nor know it by imagination, nor express it by words. O sage amongst kings, judge for yourself by thinking over all this with your own intelligence. And then Bhakti Maharaj replied, O you who are in the form of a bull, you know the truth of religion, and you are speaking according to the principle that the destination intended for the perpetrator of religious acts is also intended for one who identifies or blames the perpetrator. You are no other than the personality of religion. And so this word, dharma, is being used here. And dharma is the word that is so often referenced throughout the Bhagavad Gita. It's the first word of Bhagavad Gita. Dharma kshetra kurukshetra samaveta yutsavaha. It's the last word of Bhagavad Gita. Sarva dharmam prityaja mam ekam sharanam. Abandon all varieties of dharma and surrender unto me. It's the first instruction of Srimad Bhagavatam. Savai pungsang paradharma yatoba kirahotsache. That idea of the highest dharma is when we surrender unto loving service unto Krishna. And so the dharma of the living entity, expression of our dharma in this life, what is right and what is wrong, who should I blame or who should I not, comes in constantly seeking the way in which Krishna is calling me closer to him. And as Bhishma was talking to the Pandavas on his deathbed, Because placing blame on other people simply increases the burden of my own heart. It's not about getting justice for other people. That's way above my pay grade. But the way in which I'm able to start to see how Krishna is showing up in my life, calling me closer to him. Can I say I have no growth that I need to be doing? Can I say that I don't have a greater sense of coming closer to Krishna that is needed in my life? And so what we find in the stories of the great devotees of Bhagavatam, what makes them great is not that they're always perfect. It's not that they never make mistakes. It's not even that they only always desire Krishna service. Dhruva Maharaj did not desire Krishna service to begin with. Parikshit Maharaj allowed himself to get offended. Brahma and Indra continuously get bewildered. I mean, Indra is like, poor Indra. It's like, geez, Indra. It's like, sorry, I had to be used as like the example throughout Bhagavatam. Right? Again and again. Krishna's having this example, you know. But it's that, you know what? When it comes time to it, actually what I really want is to come closer to you, my dear Krishna. And therefore I'm willing to start to see the way in which you're showing up in my life. And so this is the hallmark of a devotee, and the task that is given to us, and the opportunity that we have to see the way, to follow in the footsteps of the great souls, to see and constantly look for the way Krishna is showing up in our lives. And we can start to see Krishna's hand rather than seek to blame other people. And we can release other people from the misgivings that we have when we, as Krishna says, when our intelligence, mind, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, meaning I'm looking for Krishna's hand, and I can become cleansed of misgivings rather than thinking that I need to find fault with somebody else and see how they're the ones that are getting in the way of what I'm looking for in life. Okay, we have a few minutes left. I want to just open up. Are there any questions or comments or anything that anybody would like to share? In the 10 seconds that we have. Thank you all so very, very much. I'm really grateful for you. Srila Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
And now if we can just move these cushions over to the side and everyone come forward for Arti so we can sing and dance together. I can't move my foot to sleep.
You stay down.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Krishna Paramahamsa Paravajika Choya Shishmad is divine grace of the Bhakti Center Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kunara Kungiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Ki Jai. Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Kaliyuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan Yagi Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. All glories to some devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the divine Lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Thank you all so much for coming to Bhagavat Sravana. So happy to have you all here. This happens every Sunday. Please come every Sunday. And bring your friends next week. We actually don't have a speaker lined up yet for next week, but we will very soon. But the following weeks are going to be super special. The two following weeks, which is May 14th and May 20th, or 21st. May 14th and May 21st. We have an amazing speaker coming, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. He is a senior brahmachari from the Chowpatty temple, and his base is actually now over on Eco Village in India. And he's a very senior disciple of Ranaswami and an excellent scholar. He writes an article on Bhagavad Gita literally every single day. So he's going to be coming and he's going to be doing a Bhagavat Sravana class from 11 to 1, followed by lunch, and then a seminar in the afternoon from 2 to 4. So that's going to happen both on the 14th and the 21st. There's going to be the Bhagavat Sravana session from 11 to 1, then lunch at 1, and then a special seminar from 2 to 4 p.m. So please mark your calendars, please come, it's going to be really super amazing. We also have coming up this Thursday, May 4th, we have Nrsimha Chaturdashi, the appearance day of Lord Nrsimhadev. So we're doing a special program. It's the same night as Thursday Kirtan, but we have a program starting at 5:30 with the Nrsimha Homa. And then it's going to be followed by Kirtan and a whole program and then dinner afterwards. So please come to that. And last week, our little school of Bhakti started, as probably a lot of you all know. It's still going on, and it's still actually open for registration. Information is on our website, so people can still join if you know other people who want to join the little school of Bhakti. That's also really exciting. And coming up soon, was going to start this Tuesday, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, it's now postponed. Probably by just a couple weeks, but we'll keep you guys updated. Tuesdays with Yogi Green, Yogeshwar Prabhu or Joshua Green, who's a Prabhupada disciple, amazing writer. He's written biographies about Prabhupada and George Harrison. He knew George Harrison. He's like a really amazing devotee. He's going to be doing satsangs every Tuesday night. That's going to be from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. So stay tuned for when that's actually going to be starting. And we also have this coming Wednesday a special guest speaker for our Prabhupada Meditations program at 26 2nd Avenue, which is every Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. Hansa Rupa, the temple president of Brooklyn Temple, is going to be coming and giving a talk this Wednesday. So we have lots of very, very exciting things happening. So please come if you would like to get signed up for our temple newsletter. To get all of these updates that I'm telling you about, just go to our website, bhakticenter.org, scroll down to the bottom and click on Join Our Temple Newsletter, and you can get signed up for that. If you would also like to join our Temple WhatsApp to receive notifications, you can see me afterwards and I can get you signed up for that. And now we have a beautiful lunch served for you all in the back. Please stay, make a donation if you can. This is completely by donations program. And make a friend and have a beautiful rest of your day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.